go ahead and get started. And first on the agenda is Dr. Norma Froelich, the chair of our Academic Senate. Norma? Is Norma on? Is Norma on?
She's not on right now.
Okay. Why don't we move to the second agenda item, and then we can circle back, assuming that Norma will be joining us later for this meeting. Casey, that means you.
Take it away. Awesome. Well, hello, board members and fellow attendees. Good to see you all. Thank you for the opportunity to come share some things. First of all, I want to just kind of give you a very quick national update, state update, and then we'll jump into the recommendations, and I'll tell you why I want to do those first. Nationally, you're very, very well aware, public education's been ebbing and flowing since March of 2020. Our parent organization, not a parent, but the association, National Association of Charter School Authorizers, NACSA, recently had a new CEO, got a new CEO. And one of the things that the new CEO is actually promoting is communities at the center and empowering communities to drive meaningful school reform. And so I want you to kind of hear that message, because I'm going to say that message a couple of times. So another thing about NACSA, which is really cool, is they got a new CEO. So what are they doing? They're revising their performance framework. And so I've been involved over the last couple of months working with them as a member of two working groups, looking at their performance framework, which is really cool because I'm behind the scenes seeing what they're working on and working towards. They've also created a new program called Uncharted Waters, which is kind of a metaphor for where a lot of things are at in the public education space. So that's some national highlights. State level highlights that are important for us today are if you haven't seen, the MDE, the Michigan Department of Ed, actually requested and applied for 2 waivers to the federal Department of Ed. The first was to waive their requirements for their accountability system. And the second was for their state testing. In those working groups with NACSA, my peers throughout the country have varied answers to those 2 questions. And the answers here in Michigan, the federals waived the accountability system, but did not waive our state testing requirements. So this month, all of our 9 schools will be taking our state test through the MDE, which is the M-STEP. Ironically, the accountability system's primary tool of data is the M-STEP, but thankfully they won't be held to some of the accountability measures, and we'll see where the state goes with that. So I wanted to just kind of preface my reauthorization comments, recognizing that the national work is going on and the state level has those 2 waivers that have been requested and one's granted. So now actually turning to the agenda, the office is bringing forward 2 recommendations for reauthorization. And the first one in your packet should be alphabetically Burton Glenn. And a couple of years ago, for those of you who have been on the committee for the board for a while, you recall that we gave George Crockett a 2+3, and there were some stipulations. And this recommendation for Burton Glenn is a 2+3. And the quick 10,000-foot verbal reason is, I know you all are very well aware, but you might have forgotten the actual dates. The Flint water crisis was hitting about 14-15. And that was kind of when Burton Glenn's contract was actually 2016. And the previous school leader, there was a pretty good slide in academic performance going on in the early years of this contract segment. So this segment was from 16 to present. And we were really kind of nervous about that first year. The second year, she up and just left. And the latter half, they hired a new guy. And since that time, the new school leader prioritized the climate and culture of the school in that first year. In so doing, he was awarded the highest ranking staff engagement through the NHA network of schools. So it was a major turnaround for staff engagement in that first year. The second year, the academics started to kind of go up. The enrollment started to bounce back up. And this last year was COVID. And so we were really positively looking at some much more solid academic gains to happen in the spring of last year. And so in absence of any of those standardized test scores, we've looked at, and in the Burton Glenn specifically, I added a section there in the back on other data that's important to note. And in terms of what the state has required in this past 16 months, Burton Glenn is fully compliant. They've uploaded and created all of their continuity of learning plans. Monthly, they've always been doing their two-way interactions. They provided access. They provided hotspots, over 200 hotspots, and they have now one-to-one Chromebooks to increase access for their students. And so in that recommendation, you'll notice that I did outline 5 areas that I want to see in these next 2 years that are not academics from the state perspective, but data that we can collect. And so sustained staff engagement, improved growth scores on their map, which we can collect. And that's in that third paragraph there, remaining off any state other lists, data providing evidence. And then the one that I mentioned earlier about NACSA pushing the community collaborations is we have started to set in place a process for schools and to reach out to their communities and get more insight for their communities. And so how that unfolds over the next 2 years. So that's a long comment. Are there any questions on my recommendation for Burton Glenn as a 2+3?
So as a late reminder, only those who are a part of the Academic Affairs Committee can ask questions at this time. Lisa, Greg, are there any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Do you want me to make a motion?
Sure.
Make the motion that Burton Glenn Public School Academy for a term which does not exceed 2 years with the opportunity to add not more than 3 additional years upon satisfying contractual obligations as established by the CSO director commencing July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023. All criteria set forth in the contract are met, the contract will automatically extend for the additional 3 years through June 30th, 2026.
Do you want me to second?
Sorry, 1 second, just a protocol piece. There is actually something that I need to add to that. Can I go ahead and add to his motion?
Yes, you can make a friendly amendment to see if it's accepted and then move ahead with the approval.
So I'll amend it and then we can second and then approve, correct? So
That's correct.
It would also be contingent upon the revision of agreements to include language acceptable to NMU regarding the approval process of charter school board members.
I'll accept that as a friendly amendment.
And I can second that.
And we have a second.
Done?
So moved.
Yes.
Okay. So, and again, we'll take this to the full board for a recommendation tomorrow.
Perfect. So the second one, Walton Charter Academy, is a little more of a slam dunk. They've been a school of excellence. We've chartered them since 1999. A deep dive in their data did show a little decline in their English language learner But it's their school leader was going through cancer 2 years ago, and that was the year. She is in full remission, back at it, full swing now, and things have kind of definitely really started to move back up. And so with Walton, it's our contract term is for 5 years, and I'm recommending that.
Greg, do you want to make a motion and then I can amend with my caveat?
Sounds good. I'd like to make the motion that the Northern Michigan University reauthorize, renew the following charter school academy of Walton Public School for a term of 5 years commencing July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2026.
And thank you, Greg. And to amend, it will also be contingent upon the revision of agreements to include language acceptable to NMU regarding the approval process of charter school board members.
And I'll accept it as a friendly amendment.
I second.
Okay, we have a second. So we will bring this to the board for full board recommendation tomorrow.
Great.
I think we should formally vote on these too.
Thank you, Greg. So we'll call a vote to pass the acceptance of Burton Glen and the Walton Academy for the 2 and 3 based on the amendment and the caveat and bring to the board tomorrow. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Lisa, aye.
Oh, yeah, I said aye.
I'm sorry, I just couldn't hear it.
Oh,
Thank
my-
you.
My eye was too loud.
I was sitting back too.
All right,
Great.
Casey, as always, you provide excellent oversight for our charter schools. We know we're in good hands with you at the helm. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank
And
you.
I think next you're also do you also have a separate update and a dashboard?
So yes, I've got a couple of other quick updates. So like I mentioned earlier, George Crockett was on a 2+3, and they have done the 5 stipulations. They've had new leadership that has continued to stay and stabilize the staff, stabilize the student body count. They've better partnered with Leona, their management company. And the most important thing, if you recall, back when we did George Crockett, they were trying to move in the building, and it was just a crazy timing. So the board has come out and said, let's stay here, let's stay put, and let's do our job. So that's just an update that will roll over into their +3. Personnel update, ongoing this last academic year. You recall that we had a school leader that had a personal issue that was finalized. The administrative law judge did rule in his favor and against the recommendation for suspending license. So there was no suspension of license. The state superintendent of education then followed up with an order which had 5 conditions, and the conditions were like one was don't get any more criminal convictions. One was go to counseling to talk about why this happened and maintain your positive presence in the building. And so that personnel issue, he is still highly supported by both the board and the management company. And given the strength of the management company and the board, I'm just updating you that has kind of been resolved. And so if there's any other questions that I could entertain on that issue, I'd be happy to take them now.
Lisa, Greg, do you have any questions?
No question.
No questions.
Casey, I just want to ensure that the infractions, and without, talking about all of the all of it on this, I mean, it is something that maybe from your perspective, you're comfortable with in terms of his ability to, safely and effectively, lead the school.
Yeah, from the details that I had access to and read, I think a large part of it was originally a mistaken situation between two friends that then ended up being like he didn't want to actually press charges. And there was kind of a miscommunication on the whole entire thing as it unfolded. And so it was one of those things where a wrong decision got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think that one of the, in the NHA model, they have a person who is called the DSQ, which is kind of a principal superintendent liaison that oversees about 5 different school leaders. And all through this process, she has continued to speak extremely highly of how he handled himself in the situation and how he always had, it was full disclosure once the situation started, and it was open communication and worked extremely well with both NHA and of course the legal system, and was always upfront with her as the DSQ, and then continued to always be upfront. And one of the things that happened recently was, not recently, but about maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, our attorney had requested an item just to kind of close it, my office's attorney, and he didn't have to supply evidence because it was part of his evidence, but he openly allowed our attorney to have it. And so to respond to your question, I am confident that the number of people that he has had to stay in contact with and communicate and be open, the board, NHA, the legal system, they're all still in support of this individual. I have always had very positive interactions with them. Our board workshops, our teacher workshops, he's always just been a very positive impact in those as well. So I would say that given my experience with him and what I've known he has gone through, I would say that I'm confident that we can go forward with him as the school leader.
Okay. Thank you, Casey. I appreciate that.
Yep. So turning to the dashboards, I know on the agenda I said there was a workshop. We got to do a workshop. Woohoo! Last year we didn't. This year it was a 2-hour Zoom rather than our normal day and a half. And so that did cause some, crunch time. We had to really get essential. But leading into the dashboards, the last time that we did dashboards, December of 19, the subcommittee asked me to give the overview. So this year, you'll notice that first page and a half, I actually provided some narrative on the dashboards. And one of the general themes across those dashboards were a lot of the organizational governance items were yellow. In part, that was due to missing that workshop last year. So we have now reset that and have gotten pieces into place that they can start to collect better data for this upcoming school year. So that's the big picture overview. Are there any questions on the dashboards that were presented?
None from me. Greg, Lisa, any questions?
No,
No, I'm good.
I said no.
I heard you. Thanks,
Okay,
Lisa.
I wasn't sure this time.
Okay.
Excellent.
Casey, thank you so much. I know, talking about the dashboards before too, it's been such a turbulent, time, and trying to keep things straight and figure out, how we manage absent a lot of things. So appreciate the hard work, and again, the diligence you have over the schools is always very, very appreciated.
Well, thank you for the kind words. I hope the rest of the committee meeting goes well.
Thank you, Casey.
Yep, bye now.
Bye. Okay. Next up, we are going to hear new program approvals from Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs, Carrie Schuling. This will require a vote and then a recommendation to the full board. And I will even remember to bring it to a vote in this meeting this time.
Actually, the deans or department head of each of these programs is here and will speak to them.
Fantastic.
So we'll
All right.
start with the College of Business. Go ahead, Carol.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure if you're able to see any of the PowerPoint material, but I'll try to go through these reasonably quickly because I know you probably have had a long day. Next slide, please. I am delighted. First of all, thank you very much, trustees, for the opportunity to share these new programs with you. The first one that we're going to speak about today is our Human Resource Management Baccalaureate program. Next slide, please. This program is the first step in what I would call the transformation of and enhancement of our College of Business Management curriculum. We are in a situation where we have a great opportunity with some recent retirements and personnel changes. So we have a motivated and engaged faculty. We also have some objectives from our accreditors that look at us and encourage us to do some curriculum updates and modifications. And I am absolutely delighted to be able to present this program today. We do believe that an HR program will be a real complement to what we're already offering in the College of Business. We all believe that assets need to be taken care of carefully, and we believe that humans are a very important asset in the workplace. We want to be able to offer courses that deal with compensation, performance management, organizational development, safety, wellness, all of the above. And we think that this program can do that. We also believe, especially now we've had some challenges with COVID, how important it is to create a positive workplace culture and environment. And we believe our students are going to be excited about this program. Next slide, please. We also are looking at some data that tells us, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that there is a projected growth in this area of 9%, which means people will be able to get jobs when they finish this program. We also use a platform called Gray & Associates to assess demand for various programs. And we were able to determine that this is a very strong program that we believe there will be a lot of demand for. Anecdotally, we've had many students ask us at campus visits, all different kinds of program promotions that we've gone through, especially in my college, where they ask for human resources. And so I am, like I said, I'm very happy that we're going to be able to provide this, hopefully. The other thing that I think is important is the curriculum is in alignment with SHRM. I know in higher ed, we're very acronym heavy, but SHRM happens to stand for the Society for Human Resource Management. And what I believe is this is a professional credential that students would be able to sit for this and bring this then to the workplace. That differentiation, again, I believe will lead to jobs and real productive jobs. One of the things we also want to mention is the idea of good fits within organizations, and a poor fit can be very costly. With today's shrinking bottom lines, we have to be cognizant of that. So I would again really rally for this program. Next slide, please. Just to tell you a little bit about it, as I said, it is in alignment with SHRM. We are adding one additional course, which is an employment law class. And we have several books that, several courses that are on our books that haven't been offered in a long time, sadly, but we now will have the faculty that can do that. Compensation design and administration will offer a seminar in human resource management so that we can talk about some of the relevant topics in HR. Conflict management, and of course we have offered a human resource class, but it's pretty tough to get a real good background with just one course. The other thing that we've done is we've worked with, and we are incorporating several courses from the leadership program in the School of Education and Leadership as electives in those programs, and also one from political science. It is, of course, 120 credit hour baccalaureate program. Students in this program will complete the College of Business core, and then there will be 36 credits, and that will include the capstone course in strategic management. Excuse me. Next slide, please. So in terms of resources, the accountant in me always has to be very cognizant of resources. So what we will do, we will plan to recruit a tenure track line in the area of human resources, which is presently unfilled due to retirement, if demand for the program is realized. Because one of the things that we've been able to do as we have had some staffing challenges is we've looked at our adjunct pool. And we are delighted to know that we have many SHRM certified adjuncts as part of our pool at this time. And they have stepped in and offered some of these courses in the elective area in management. And we do believe that we'll be able to staff it effectively. But it would be nice to have a faculty champion at some point in the future, and hopefully demand will support that. So with respect to this particular program, are there any questions before I move into the next one?
So Carol, I probably could have about 100 questions, but in the interest of time, I obviously would, this is my wheelhouse. So HR is a continually evolving field. I think it's just unfortunate. I mean, this is, I think, probably well overdue.
Yes.
Do we have any projections for enrollment?
Yes, we do. I have estimated that we will start with about 20 majors. Obviously we're soft marketing it until we get the formal approvals. And then I do believe we may see a little bit of cannibalization of our traditional management program in terms of going into this major, because it has a bit more focus. And we really have had a lot of students ask us about it, that they want it. They know that there are jobs out there. So, but I think if we're able to go out and market it, I think we're going to have a real healthy program in terms of demand. We'll also, Alexis, we'll try to offer a SHRM, university SHRM chapter that a lot of schools do. I think there's a lot of potential for this.
So Carol, just so I understand the SHRM alignment, I mean, I'm an SPHR, so I'm very familiar with SHRM in the certifications. Is the SHRM alignment just based on the following of that curriculum that is kind of through what they offer as a PHR or SPHR? And okay,
I believe this is going to be a process for us. So that's what we did when we developed the curriculum. We tried to match up the different areas of where they suggested. And then what we'll do is we'll actually go to SHRM and say, would you do some type of a review so that we can put a stamp on it that says, yes, this is aligned with SHRM, and our students can sit for the exams at the end of it. So yeah, I think it's a process though.
So it's an encouragement of the certification also after the degree fulfillment.
That is correct.
Okay, got it.
It would be wonderful if we could offer it at like in a capstone at some point, but that would be a bit down the road. So.
All right. Any questions on the HRM program, Lisa or Greg?
I don't really have any questions. I just want to say it sounds like a great program and a much needed program.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Thank you. This is a very interesting program. It is called Sustainable Business and Enterprise Creation. So if we could move forward. Next slide. Wow, this is one of those programs that has been several years in the making. And I believe it aligns with and supports NMU's commitment to sustainable practices and education. This is an interdisciplinary program. It is complementing our offerings within the college and in the university. What we're going to hopefully be able to do is enable graduates to add value to any organization, to provide some leadership within organizations by contributing to what we call a stable, healthy, responsible practice corporation utilizing sustainable policies. So what does that really mean? It means it's a way of doing business that makes profits through means that reduce harm to society and the environment. And so it is, in fact, an interdisciplinary program. Next slide, please. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to combine and marry areas of education to prepare students for responsible social entrepreneurship or enterprises. We will have students learn a fair amount of economics so that they understand what that analysis will do in terms of sustainable business that is faced by both for-profit and not-for-profit organization. We are introducing environmental science and policy. Graduates are going to understand social and the political climate, as well as scientific issues in sustainability and what we call free enterprise. And then finally, a knowledge of successful business and management principles, kind of a little marriage there in which students provide the skills to succeed in business structured organizations. So we have 36 credits of foundation courses that run the gamut and are truly interdisciplinary. From accounting, computer information systems, management, public relations, economics, and EEGS, which is Earth and Environmental Sciences. And then there's 52 credits, which sound like a lot, where they complete 20 credits in 2 areas and 12 credits in the others. So the science-focused areas can be in biology, chemistry, or EEGS, and then economics, policy, indoor ag, and our engineering technology program. And then there would be business focused in all areas of business, whether it be finance, marketing, public relations. And so the students have a bit of flexibility with respect to how they will be creating this particular major. Next slide, please. We're not creating any new courses for the program completion. We believe that there is capacity in existing program courses. However, if we're fortunate and enrollment and staffing, we're going to monitor those. So if needed enhancements are necessary due to demands, we will move forward with that. So that is the interdisciplinary program, sustainable business and enterprise creation. Any questions? I'm sure there will be some.
Just a comment that this seems really timely and appropriate. So,
well, thank you. I think so too. And I'm very fortunate because we have great collaboration among the different disciplines on campus. We had a work group, to be frank with you. We worked on this for a couple of years before we actually came up with what we thought would be a workable curriculum. So it wasn't something that was put together overnight. It was a couple of years in development.
Great. Looks like a great program and is very, very relevant for our times.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions? Lisa, any questions, comments?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Carol, I see Bill on the line, but I don't think that he's presenting the graduate certificate for clinical molecular. Okay.
And I certainly am not.
That would be me, and I'm thankful to be here to talk to you today about a new program and not talk to you about COVID-19 testing. So next slide, please. So we recognized an opportunity to repackage some of the coursework that is in our current master's program in clinical molecular genetics to create a graduate certificate, a one-year program that uses 8 courses that could be completed in 1 year. It doesn't have to be completed in 1 year. Students could elect to take it over 2 or 3 if they decided to do so. And the courses that we selected are in the categories that you see there. We did that for 2 purposes. One, the American Society of Clinical Pathology has recently created a specialist in molecular biology exam, and we wanted to be able to prepare individuals for success on that exam. I happen to sit on the committee, so I have a pretty good idea of what we should be teaching. And And we also wanted to package this for multiple different populations. Next slide, please. And so here's the coursework that's laid out, that it's offered over a 1-year period. So we would offer 3 courses in the fall, 2 in the winter, and 3 in the summer. The courses that you see there are already offered. So these are not new offerings. It's just adding additional students to the current coursework. Next slide, please. What we're really hoping to do is to be able to expand our enrollment in the coursework that is offered as part of our graduate program, and simultaneously provide working medical lab professionals an opportunity to expand their knowledge base in what is the most rapidly growing field within clinical laboratory sciences, and that's molecular diagnostics. For example, I said I wasn't going to talk about COVID testing, but the vast majority of the COVID testing was molecular, okay? And so what we're doing is we're targeting 2 different groups, the working lab professionals and also potentially med students. And we got this idea from 2 osteopathic physicians who went through our graduate program, who really asked us to consider putting together a certificate that their students might be able to take if they're interested in this field. And again, so no new coursework is required for this. We don't need any additional faculty. And our goal is to be able to increase the enrollment by at least 10 in each of the courses, and we'll reevaluate that after 5 years. And if necessary, do a teach out. And with that, I'll take questions.
Oh, I need to understand what a 1-year teach out is.
So it would be a teach out plan. So students that were already enrolled, if we elected to close the program, would then have a year to complete the certificate.
Got it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Bill.
Hi,
I think you are up next.
I'm excited to be here. Hello, everybody. I appreciate you giving me some time. You could take me to the next slide, if you will. I'm going to give you just a quick update of where we're at, because I know some people are wondering what the performing arts looks like in COVID-19 climate. But we did currently produce a full season of shows within our student experience, slightly modified. We made movies, we made films, radio plays, lots of different productions. 90% of our classes are in person this winter semester. We only had 3 classes that were in an online format, so that was very exciting for us. Any students still can participate with major or minor, and we do have some auditions and interviews for our BFA programs, but we're here to talk about Associate of Arts. So can I have my next slide, please? Again, we always make the decisions with building our departmental culture. This is kind of our driving force of creating consistency for our students, which is going to really help build our culture, which then turns into tradition and a legacy. Within the theater schools, within the state, the region, and the country, it is about your name, the equity within that name. And so the moves that we're making are to support that. So we have I know the math doesn't make sense, but we're given 110%, 100% of the time. That's kind of the quote. We actually give out awards to students in the department right now with that. So if I can have my next slide. So exciting additions. The goal is to add, with your approval, Associate of Arts in Theater Performance, Theater Tech and Design, and Dance. Just a few years ago, or a few semesters ago, you approved the BFAs and BAs major programs, and those have been great. The reason for these associate programs are a couple. The first was we found some students that are very talented and find that they would like to, that they don't complete. They might not make it all the way because they start working in the field. And we wanted to make sure that they had a degree before they left in case they came back from getting hired or taking that big role or going on a cruise ship for a year. We also were looking at many of our students transferring in and trying to figure out what they wanted to do. TIP students and the TIP funding that's out there, this is something that we can allow our students to now register for to get the associate. And we have a few students that were doing that, but are actually in a different area. So we're really trying to increase our diversity and inclusion and working in different areas recruiting. So can I have my next slide? So is this degree in demand? As Carol mentioned earlier, we have the gray associate status. So theater programs are in the top 70th percentile of search program amongst universities polled and search engines reviewed according to the gray data. We have seen some growth already in our program. Oh, you can take me to the next slide. That's cool. Thanks, Kathy. You're the best. You're doing great. We have seen growth in our program just from a few years ago when we were about 15 majors. We're in the fall, we were in the 50s. We saw a little bit, I think we're 48 right now, which is really exciting for us. That's a lot of growth over the last couple of years. And we're really proud of the efforts we've made, even through COVID and growing when the industry stopped and parents were like, no, you can't go to the arts. None of that's working right now. We're still seeing people come. We've had great recruiting events and things like that. Associate's degrees are in demand and for dance and theater. It's a functional degree type. We do have people that come in that want that base set of skills within the 3 different disciplines, the technical, the theatrical performance, and then the dance. But they want to enter the world quickly. And so we're trying to modify with, there isn't technically a certificate. This is not a certificate, obviously, but we're trying to get ahead of the curve because there are some practitioners within the arts that want some knowledge and then want to go out, or maybe they're actually working currently and they want to take a couple classes at a time. We want to make sure that we're creating attainable options. And then the associate degrees will help us bring in the TIP eligible students, which should help our mission of growing the program as well as diversity and inclusion and in expanding what we're doing. I think in my next slide. There's so many different things that a performance degree can do. We were all locked up during COVID. I'm pretty sure if you haven't watched a movie, a film performance, a concert or anything, those are theater and dance practitioners that are doing that. It's not just on a stage in the Forrest Roberts Theater, although we love doing that. We're excited to hopefully be back with live in-person audiences soon. Can I have my next slide, Kathy? Yep, so this is just more of technical, what a technical degree can do. And all of these things that are on here, an associate of arts degree is going to still allow access to into these industries. One more, I think, Kathy. Okay, cool. Yeah, growing the program. So to get the word out about this, this doesn't require us to add any new faculty or anything, but it is advertising. So we do recruiting events. We've done a lot of virtual recruiting events and really tried to spread our reach as far as we could. So we actually engaged with a few new efforts out there, and then getting regional attention through the Kennedy Center, American College Theater Festival, our Theater for All and Zero Barrier experiences, the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and different things like that, and really trying to build in these experiences within the Associate of Arts program. To still get them interested in potentially also converting into, if once they start there, to go for the full bachelor's. So we are in talks of accreditation. There's a few steps for us to get there, but NAST would be the theater accreditation and NAS would be the dance accreditation. And I think it's my last slide. Oh, questions. What can I answer for you?
I have a question. So if they have one of these associate degrees and they come back, they can jump right into these BFAs, for example, BFA of Theater Technology and Design. So that associate degree is already within that bachelor's?
Yes, yes. We've really built it to be stackable and have them continue on in the program. We want to get students there. Sometimes students leave for different reasons, but yes, they can totally continue on. And it allows us to bring in the TIP students as well within the department versus having to be in a different department and then not within our area.
I actually had a similar question, but a little inverse, because before this, and I think it's a great initiative, you would have to sign up automatically for your BA or BS or be a different major and then change over later. Do you think that maybe hurt the enrollment for the program overall, not having the stepping stone, if you will, for the associates?
I don't know if I would say it hurt the program overall, but I definitely think having it will help us get students involved and be willing to try it, especially students that aren't sure on what they want to do in college. This is that 2-year that it includes all the the 32 credits from general education. So I see it as a positive. I think it'll solve a lot of problems and allow more students access to seeing their potential as an artist or a maker of art or theater or entertainment within the industry.
Okay, where someone who may have gone for the full degree was probably a little bit more committed, less experimental, or
yeah, definitely. I think it allows someone that feeling of maybe if they want to pivot, they can be like, oh, here's at 2 years, I still have this degree, but I could pivot if I wanted to. Hopefully they're not pivoting. Hopefully they're going for the BFA or the BA and getting both degrees if they so choose. But I think there's a lot of potential to really help grow and capture some different markets of students to keep our positive growth model expanding.
The statistics on searches and interest is definitely intriguing to me. Is this a field that's grown a little bit more for interest for maybe some of the younger generations than when I am, or has it remained steady?
I definitely think it's growing. I relate this to people's expectations of production value. So when you get a theater degree, we're using theater as the vessel to work within the entertainment world, but that could be working at a concert, that could be going to Coachella, that could be the AV experience that you're having right now. So if you look at a concert back in like 1980s, it was some park hand lights that turned on or off. And now you go to a concert or a theater production and there's LED video walls and people are flying around and all of those things. So there's more jobs. So people are like, oh, I think I could do this, or I want to do that. And we are training our students not just for live entertainment stages, but the small screen, like being working in the YouTube and all of those other things that don't seem like you're going to make money, but you are. Voice acting, and really reaching kind of all sides of the entertainment field, theme park entertainment, cruise ships. We're sending students to any and all of these places out of the theater program. So most famous actors actually started in a theater program at a college, and then they're like, oh, I just want to audition for film. So we are working with film auditioning companies and bringing them in to do guest lectures and all those types of things. So our associate degree performance students and technical students have all those opportunities to engage, and some of them might leave and go on and become famous. Hopefully they'll donate a bunch of money back to the program where they got the beginning. I'll work on that too, but or they'll continue on. So we're excited to see where this will go, and I think it will help, definitely.
Excellent. Sounds exciting. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments from the committee?
No.
No. Okay. Greg, do we have a motion?
Yes, we do. And I'd like to read it. I recommend that the following new programs be approved: the Human Resource Management Bachelor degree, the Clinical Molecular Diagnostic Graduate Certificate, the Dance Associate degree, the Theater Performance Associate degree, and the Theater Technology and Design Associate degree, all to be effective on fall of 2021.
I second that motion.
Okay. And if we take it to a formal vote, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, and we'll bring this to the full board for a recommendation tomorrow. Great. Thank you, Bill.
Sonia?
So I think next on our agenda, and then is Carrie, I don't know if you're presenting the program deletions or
Yes.
someone else is.
Yep, I'll do it. We
Okay.
have 3 programs that are recommended for deletion. They're already suspended. They're all out of the College of Business. 2 associate degree programs, Office of Information Assistant, Health Information Processing is the second. And the third is a certificate office assistant. And these were suspended because of low enrollment. We really couldn't support having the programs. The courses themselves are offered at regional community colleges for a lot less cost. So even though the students that were in the programs placed, there just was not enough demand for students. And so we are recommending that they be deleted. That's it.
I'd
Thank
like
you,
to
Provost Schilling.
offer a motion that the associate degree office information assistant, health information processing, and the certificate program office assistant be deleted effective summer of 2021.
I second that.
Okay, we take it to a formal vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we'll bring this to the board for the recommendation tomorrow. Thank you. And next on our agenda is Norma with us.
Yes.
Hi,
she's here.
Norma.
Hello, my apologies that I was waiting in the room next door to be summoned into here. So my apologies that I was not here right at the start of the meeting. So thank you very much for the chance to speak to you all today. You do have my full written report, so I'm not going to go through all of it in detail as it was quite long, but I want to provide some of the highlights that the Academic Senate did this year. It is important to note that many of the recommendations that the Senate forwards to the Provost come from Senate's 11 standing committees. And in addition, many of those proposals start with the faculty or the staff of academic departments or administrative divisions in their efforts to support the current academic needs and the future career needs of our students. So I'm grateful to both the Senate committees and the various departments and units on campus for their work on all the things that I'm able to report to you today. As you know, one of Senate's responsibilities is curriculum and program changes. Some of the highlights this semester include the recommendation of the 6 programs that were just spoken about earlier. So the 3 Associate of Arts programs in dance, in theater performance, and in theater technology and design, the 2 Bachelor of Science programs in human resource management and sustainable business and enterprise creation, and the graduate certificate in clinical molecular dynamics. This academic year, our 2 curriculum committees, the Committee on Undergrad Programs and the Grad Program Committee, they also recommended a total of 1 new program concentration, 29 revised programs, 34 new courses, 62 revised courses, 2 program deletions, and a considerable review of the list of 400 level courses that are approved for graduate level credit. They did also look at 2 other new programs that we didn't quite get across the finish line this year, but hope to bring back next fall. And in addition, the Grad Program Committee reviewed 3 PhD program proposals, but those have been put on hold by the administration. Finally, Senate's 2 curriculum committees worked with the Educational Policy Committee to revise the review process of new or significantly changed programs. While the revised process will technically end up adding 1 semester to the timeline, with review beginning in February and then running through the following winter, we anticipate that it'll end up eliminating some of the difficulties that have ended up hindering some recent program reviews that cause those to kind of be stuck in a pipeline for 2 or more years. So kind of stretching from 1 year to 1.5 years will make the whole process a bit more efficient and a bit more effective, and possibly cut out some of those ones that get dropped in the midpoint. In addition to the committees focused on curriculum, Senate also has the 9 other subcommittees, and they don't tend to produce nearly as much paperwork and reports and recommendations as the curriculum committee does, but they do significant work advising Senate and other units on campus. And so I'll note some of their most important work this year. The Academic and Admissions Policy Committee worked with the nursing department on changes to the freshman and direct admissions into the Bachelor of Science in Nursing program. The Committee on Internationalization struggled with recent changes impacting their charge. While the COVID pandemic certainly has limited all international travel, we also saw changes at NMU prior to the pandemic that have been detrimental to internationalization efforts, such as staff reductions in the International Program Office and loss of scholarships that were once available to international students. These reductions and losses don't just affect international students, but they also limit the exposure of our American-born students to diverse global perspectives and cultures. And so coming into the next year, the Senate and the Committee on Internationalization will be looking at trying to refocus as we come out of the pandemic to return to some of those internationalization efforts. Moving through the other committees, the General Education Council continued with their careful review and approval of courses, assessment reports, and remediation plans within the Gen Ed program. The Educational Technology Resources and Policy Committee worked in support of a number of units on campus, including working with IT on the evaluation of the new laptop model and with the Center for Teaching and Learning on improving accessibility of digital education content. The Faculty Grants Committee, of course, makes recommendations on faculty student research awards. The Honors Board this year collaborated with the Director and Assistant Director of the Honors Program to host a site visit and Honors Program review by the National Collegiate Honors Council, which may end up resulting in some big changes in the honors program in the coming years. Library and Instructional Support Advisory Committee continued their work, advising the Library and Instructional Support Division. Many of the programs in that are facing substantial budget cuts, and so their work was important for that advice or that advisory possibilities. So, two more committees. The Teaching, Learning, and Advisory Council continued to oversee peer observation programs and networking activities that really aid faculty in further developing their skills as teachers. And finally, we have the Committee on Elections and Committees, who don't exactly have the most glamorous of roles per se, but a really, really important role of filling all of the positions on all of the aforementioned committees. So, finally, after I submitted my written report last week, the Committee on Elections and Committees did run the election for next year's Senate Executive, and I noted that I'd report on the outcome of that elections now. We have one member stepping off, one member stepping on to executive, and some reshuffling within. Jamie Crabb from nursing is stepping off of the executive after serving for the last year as our elected secretary. As our administrative secretary that has traditionally been shared between the Senate and the Union has accepted another position on campus, Jamie has been really, really crucial in helping Senate operations actually stay on a somewhat even keel this semester. And so we'll miss Jamie's contributions to executive next year. In terms of the people that will be on Senate, there are a pair of individuals in just starting two-year terms as at-large members. Tim Compton from Languages, Literature, and International Studies will be joining us this year. And David Bowe, who is stepping out of the vice chair position, will be starting one of those two-year positions as well. There's also a pair of two-year member-at-large positions that are in their mid-year of their cycle. Those are filled by Eric Autumn from Biology and Robbie Goodrich from History. In terms of the officers, Deanna Poziga from Engineering Tech and Hugo Ezeguirre from Economics will be moving from at-large positions into the secretary and vice chair positions respectively. And then I have been reelected as chair for a second year. The provost and the AAUP president then round out the executive committee as ex officio members. Finally, having been listening to the Extended Learning and Community Engagement meeting, which took place before this, sitting in the room next door, I'd like to make a quick comment regarding the credit for prior learning that may be considered for academic higher ed credit. I'd like to request that at some point, some conversation should occur between extended learning and community engagement and global campus, both the board committees and the administration and academic senate, but to have conversations with the academic senate and or its subcommittees, as the academic senate is charged with making recommendations and ensuring rigor of academic curriculum, programs, and degree requirements. All right, in closing, it's been a challenging year. It's been a productive year. We had a lot of recommendations. You have the lengthy report that I sent forward. We have had a very wonderful relationship with our provost and a productive relationship with the administration. And going forward, as Northern adapts to the continuing and hopefully waning pandemic, the Senate will continue to work and lead on immediate and long-term, long-range academic issues and faculty concerns. And with that, if you have any questions, or concerns or comments, I'd be happy to address them.
Here, and I was just kind of flabbergasted at how many committees. Can you give me a number? How many committees are there?
11. 11 committees, yeah. And they each have specific charges, and they each then bring proposals and recommendations and through to us or to some of the other units on, so to the library or to the honors program and so on. Yeah.
Any other, Lisa, any questions from your side? Any comments?
Nope, good.
Okay. Norma, thank you so much for the report and congratulations on your reelection.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe this was the final agenda item on our schedule. There any other comments or questions from the Academic Affairs Committee for discussion? Hearing nothing, we'll go. Sorry, did someone say something? Okay, hearing nothing, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn this formal meeting of the Academic Affairs Committee. It is 4:47 p.m. on 4/29/21. Thank you.
Shall we start the Finance Committee in just 1 minute when Alexis returns?
I'm back, Bob. Thank you.
I believe we have everyone here. My name is Bob Mahaney, Chair of the Finance Committee. I'd like to call the Finance Committee meeting to order. Also in attendance today are committee members, Trustee Donna Marie Brown, Trustee Alexis Hart, and Board Chair Tammy Savoy as ex officio member. We have a pretty short agenda, but an important agenda, and I will turn it over to Gavin and Jamie to take it away.
All right, I'll have Jamie talk about our external audit coming up for this summer.
Well, it feels like we just finished the last audit not too long ago, and we're getting ready for planning for the next one. So I just want to briefly discuss the professional services plan that you all have. This is just the
it's prepared by Raymond. They give it to us each year, and it's just basically their plan for the audit. So the first couple pages, 1 and 2, is the scope of the services, their due dates, their timing of services. You know, it's just the timing of everything they're going to do, just to show that we get it done timely. Let's see, pages 2 and 3 then is just the other accounting considerations that they have to do during the audit. Pages 4 and 5 are the new accounting pronouncements that they always point out to us, and that we work with them on implementing those into our financial statements. Let's see. Then there's just a page with the contact people that we have. And then Appendix A is the engagement letter, the contract letter that we have with them just for the audit. That there gets into the objectives of the audit, what their responsibilities are, what our responsibilities are, that type of thing. The only one I'll really point out is there's not page numbers on here, but about 2/3 of the way back is the page with the fees. And that just shows that our fee for this year is $81,500. And we are in a 3rd year of a 5-year contract with Raymond. And the only other thing separate from this is they will probably have to do an addendum for some of the audit work that they'll have to do for the COVID related funding for the federal single audit. So other than that, that's really it for that, unless there's questions. That's just, again, the plan for the audit. Thank you, Jamie. Committee members, any questions for Jamie?
No questions.
No questions?
Okay,
I would like to make a motion if I could. Mr. Chair.
please.
Great. I like to move that we accept the plan as written by Raymond for the professional services plan and the engagement letter for fiscal year 2021 through 2022.
Do we have a second for the motion?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. I would note that I believe, for what it's worth, a little trivia factoid, 40 years ago, when I was the auditor on the audit team, I think the audit fee was much higher than $81,500. So.
It was.
Good for us, not so good for the audit profession. Next on our agenda are room and board rates for fiscal year 2022. The finance and accounting team has been doing a lot of work in this regard, and they have already shared much of that work with this committee in our previous meeting several weeks ago. So we've asked Mr. Leach to give us a recap that will then hopefully lead to a motion to set room and board rates for the upcoming academic year. So with that, Gavin.
All right, thank you, Bob. Yeah, this is, as I mentioned to the committee earlier, this is a challenging year. And so we wanted to make sure that we provided a challenge to our staff, which they love. And Tom Helgren and Paul Schoenfeld are here. And I put the challenge of creating great quality for our students as far as their dining experience. And Jeff's here from housing, and as well as maintaining the quality of our housing. And I think we realize the challenges students are facing, and we took a real hard look at what can we do creatively to keep those costs down for our students while creating a great experience as we look into this next fiscal year. And between all of them in housing and dining, they really came up with, I think, a creative solution for this year, in which our room and board rate recommendation for our traditional residence halls and a standard meal plan will be no increase from the prior year. They were in the meal side, they restructured the plan a little bit. They kept the costs down, and yet they still created the opportunity that if students wanted to enhance that meal plan, there's some great options that produce even greater value to move up to a plan such as a platinum plan, which is a $400 increase, but you get $1,000 in benefits, including special meal items, discounts at all the retail outlets on campus, and just an additional, I think they call them trade outs or what, I don't know the term, Tom, on exchanges, meal exchanges at different venues. You get enhanced number of meal exchanges and guest passes for if you have friends and family coming to campus. So we believe it's a great opportunity for students for those that want to keep the cost down, they have an option. And for those that want some enhanced experience, they also have an option to buy that also. But in the end, the traditional halls would be the same rate as last year on a room and board rate. And then with the Woods, there's a slight increase of $12 per semester, 0.2% overall. So basically almost flat for the Woods complex also. So I really appreciate the creativity and hard work that the housing and dining staff put into really making it possible for students to have no increase for the most part for the next year. And I believe that really will be a benefit to the students, as well as they'll receive the same quality and experience in both dining and housing. On the apartment sides, we do have some slight increases in our apartment rates. For our Woodland Park apartments, we're looking at a 3% increase. And again, that's providing dollars for the maintenance of those facilities. And on the all the other apartments, it's 4.95% increase. And again, that's building the funds to continue to upkeep and maintain those facilities on a long-term basis. Those rates we have high demand for our apartments right now. And those rates are very, very competitive in the local market. And so we feel very confident. In fact, I think we might be sold out already, Jeff. Yeah, I guess we're sold out already for next year. So, so anyway, that's part of the recommendation. So overall, I feel like they put together a good plan for the next fiscal year, and one that really I think will benefit the students and maintain the attractiveness of our housing and dining experience for the students.
Committee members, any questions for Mr. Leach?
I just have to concur with the pat on the back of the housing and dining teams for their efforts. I think that the costs that we're coming in with are fantastic. Just a question, Gavin, the apartments, how old are those apartments?
The West Side apartments are 1978, 79. And Woodland is 2006.
Okay.
So,
I mean, based on the age of the apartments, even the 2006, I mean, it obviously makes sense that there's going to be cost to maintain it. And obviously there's a very good job being done doing that with the demand that we have. So thank you.
Thank you.
Just wanted to also add, Mr. Chair, around the creativity that was put together for these plans. The options I think that people have are so attractive that it's just amazing that the price point is still affordable, yet the options seem so, you're able to maximize it with the creativity is. So I just want to lift that up again. That was remarkable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a great point, and I'm glad you brought that up. It's almost enough to induce us trustees to go back to school. Looking at those, yeah, I would just echo what my fellow trustees just said. Great job, great creativity. I think once again it demonstrates Northern, I think, has a unique ability to deliver exceptional services and products at a cost that many others would envy around the nation. So kudos to all of you involved. And with that, we should probably consider a motion.
Yeah, I'd be happy to make a motion. I would like for this committee to be able to recommend to the full board approval of the fiscal year 2022 room and board rates that were presented.
Second.
I would just like to, for the record, I thought I heard 2020-22.
No, 2022.
Okay, is that, okay, we're
Fiscal
good.
year
Yeah.
2022.
My years.
My apologies if it wasn't.
No.
wasn't clear.
Okay, and we have a second. Any
Second.
discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. The motion is approved. Last on our agenda is Gavin again, giving us a quick report on facilities and projects over 250,000, which by policy, this committee recommends or does not recommend to the full board for approval.
Prior to that, I need, we need a continuation budget approvals for fiscal year 22.
Oh.
Yeah.
Donna, is that on that document I gave you?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is, but
Okay.
you're gonna present something first.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Yeah.
mention that, because there's not a clear picture yet on state funding for the coming fiscal year,
Right.
as well as we're still, vetting through where enrollment's gonna end up. For the current time, we're just asking for a continuation budget for fiscal year 22 at a level no higher than the fiscal year 21 budget, but with an exception for any contractual requirements that the university needs to make. Then we would be coming back in July or August with the final budget.
Okay.
Got it. So now, with apologies, I had my,
No worries,
I was out of order earlier. Now it's making sense. So Trustee Murray Brown,
Sure, thank you. I would like to make a motion to recommend to the board that they approve the 2021 through 2022 continuing base budgets for auxiliary operations, housing and resident life, general fund and designated fund.
do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries the recommendation to the full board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we can get to facilities.
All right, and we have two projects that are over 250,000 that we're recommending for the finance committee. The first one is women's wrestling locker room. That's part of a new program that we started up in athletics. As part of the plan, we develop a locker room. It also enables us to maintain Title IX compliance. The cost of that is estimated at $325,000. And then the second project would be renovation of the Cohodes Hall lobby on the main floor. It's been a project that's been looked at for a number of years. We're beginning to enter capital campaign. We want to make sure that the experience that people have when they first come in the facility is a great experience. It's long overdue and need us some work. And that's the second project that we would have over 250,000. So,
Okay, thank you, Gavin. Any questions? None? Alexis, you're good?
Good.
All right. Well, with that, I would ask for a motion.
Yep. Happy to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to recommend the board approve the projects that were listed for above 250,000 and just for reference, the Superior Dome Women's Wrestling Locker Room and the Cohodes Hall lobby renovation.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. I believe that concludes our formal agenda for this meeting. Trustees Murray Brown or Trustee Hart or Trustee Savoy, any closing comments?
Thank you for the hard work. Really great work done here. Thank you.
Yeah.
thank you. And if you don't mind me taking a second, just like recognize some of the staff that I had here that help put everything together that you see in front of you.
That would be wonderful.
Have Jamie that you've met, Jamie Beauchamp, the controller, Jeff Corp, who's been working with us through housing, Kathy Richards and Jim Toms in facilities, Matt Fronte in my office, the budget office, and Tom Helgren and Paul Schoenfeld from dining services. So they do great work for me, and they make things happen on campus. So I really appreciate what they do. Thank you.
Yes, great work by all of you. Thank you. And as we said before, to be able to come to us and give us the opportunity to approve a net zero increase in room and board is pretty cool. So thank you.
All right.
Well, with that, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.